The following is a fan fiction audiobook, using basic text-to-speech software. I do not own the sound effects or images used. My Hero Academia is owned by Shueisha, Viz Media, Shonen Jump, Studio Bones, Funimation and most especially Kohei Horikoshi. Please support the official release. Any references to historical events, real people, or real locales are used fictitiously. Other names, characters, places, and incidents are the product of the author's imagination, and any resemblance to actual events or locales, or persons, living or dead, is entirely coincidental. If you enjoyed this fan fiction parody, please support the original author, Jade Tatsu.
Warning in advance, the fan fiction you're about to listen to is rated T for teen. Proceed at your own discretion.
Another Form of Power. Written by Jade Tatsu. Prologue.
It was a quirk of fate that brought him to this roof today. The man's lips stretched at his thought. It was actually 3 quirks which had brought him here today, and his own desire. Distant eye allowed him to see the events, because sometimes he liked to check in on his nemesis. Hear all allowed him to hear what was said, because while he used to be able to lip read, his eyes just weren't what they used to be. And finally Walkgate, used by his servant Kurogiri, had actually provided the transport. He looked down at the boy, ignoring the sun on his back. It was somewhat nice to be at, but he wasn't here for personal enjoyment. He was here for the boy, for the spark he'd seen in the young eyes. He thanked fate not for the quirk that had made him look, but for the timing. Heroes can be so cruel, he said softly. As expected, the boy flinched. He hadn't been aware anyone was present on the rooftop. Then watery green eyes looked up at him. The man frowned beneath his mask. How did he know the eyes were green? His vision wasn't that precise. He decided that they must be truly iridescent if he could perceive that with his damaged vision. He means well, but he often doesn't think of the consequences, the man said, further extending a few tendrils of power. From the earlier conversation he knew the boy was quirkless. He wasn't feeling for any quirk. No, this time he was extending his own, though. Again the man smiled. The turmoil inside the boy would make it easy. He couldn't force any change of heart, but his quirk let him know exactly what the boy was thinking. It let him know exactly what to say to get results. And right now, with the boy's mind in turmoil, now was the time to sow the seeds of change. You heard the question was timid. I heard. There was no use denying it. Did you see? The man frowned. Had he seen? Oh, had he seen the state the supposed #1 hero was in? Yes, but I have known for a while now. I imagine it came as a shock to you. It was a gentle question, asked with the merest hint of power. Yes? The man could hear the way the boy swallowed. It sounded distinctly slimy, but that was normal. The boy had been crying. He means well, the man said, but he forgets the lessons of the past. He saw the boy move, tilting his head slightly to ask the question. He forgets that there is more to being a hero than just a quirk. Those green eyes blinked. It was almost incredulous. Then, did you? Again the question was timid and tentative. Again it was unclear, but the man had long been able to interpret such things. No? He said sincerely. But I do not know you. He added before the boy could collapse again. Having your dreams cut away was painful, especially for one so young. And I have never understood why people want to be heroes, he said, probing to see the boy's reaction. But heroes save people. The boy was quick to defend them. Heroes help people, and I want to help people. Ah, the man sighed. The most pure reason to want to be a hero. To his active quirks the boy almost shone with sincerity. It was nice to see such conviction. It would be lovely to see it harnessed to his cause. There are other ways to help people. The boy deflated. Yeah, a police officer, he said. There was a tiny edge to his voice. The man didn't smile, but inwardly he was pleased. He told you that, he asked. Yes, the boy said, his voice barely louder than a whisper. No imagination, the man sighed. And very pedestrian. There are other ways which would help far more people than simply being a hero or a police officer, though both are important. The boy frowned at him. To his quirks he could feel the confusion radiating from the boy's mind. What do you mean, he asked, curiosity evident. Exactly that. A hero helps people, but they also are acclaimed for doing it. A policeman helps people, but again, they are acclaimed for it. Not as much as a hero, but they still do get the acclaim, yet they only save one person at a time. Or at the most, a few. Yet there are others who save hundreds at a time, maybe thousands, and they are overlooked. The man said confidently. He could feel the boy thinking, but there was something else in the boy's mind. It was small, barely there, and with what he had seen of the child's nature, it probably wouldn't blossom, but maybe he could help it along. He spoke again. A hero uses their quirk, uses their power. The same with a policeman. They use their equipment, the man explained. But they are both controlled by others. The hero Public Safety Bureau, the boy asked. The man nodded slightly, accepting the answer. But who controls them, he queried. The HPSB was a government group, run by the government, no matter which party was in power, for the benefit of the people. That's why heroes weren't allowed to be on their board. The government, the boy answered. Very good, he congratulated. It was odd to feel the flash of pleasure the boy felt at such faint praise. Or maybe not. The man couldn't see much, but he could determine a lot. Quirkless meant consequences, after all. And who controls the police, he pressed. The government, the boy again answered. So you see, the man asked. The boy didn't get it. That was okay. It was one of those things many people didn't understand. They simply saw the flashiness of heroes. They didn't see the reality. They didn't see the rules and regulations that went with the costumes. They didn't see the cover-ups, but they weren't meant to see them. He spoke up once more. Don't you think the organization responsible for making sure there are heroes, and police, and medics, and rescue services and everything else is really the one saving people? It was not the strongest argument, but with the boy's current mental state, it would suffice. His trust in heroes had been ripped away. Really, if the plans he had tentatively forming for this boy worked in the way he hoped they would, he was going to have to thank his nemesis for this gift. Oh. The boy took a moment to consider. Before he answered, so it's about power. The boy connected the information to what he'd been told earlier. Yes? Heroes use their power to save people, but it is one at a time. The government uses the power it has to save everyone. So who do you think is more powerful? Who do you think saves the most people? Those who get the acclaim, or those who do the work? He paused, letting the boy think about that for a moment. So, if you really want to help people, which do you think you should be? The government. The answer was somewhat weak, but the reasoning was firm. It would become stronger over time. But I. He trailed off. You? He asked, wanting to know his hesitation. I don't know how to try that, he finally said. The man laughed. Such a petty obstacle. I do. He replied. And I'm willing to help you, if you can help me. You can? The boy's eyes widened in disbelief. I can, if you help me. He reached out with a particular quirk, reading the boy's mind. He couldn't force the decision, but he did know exactly what words to say. Then, you will be the first person I help, the boy declared. All for One smiled and held out his hand. Call me Sensei, Izuku Midoriya, and I will help you get everything you've ever wanted. The boy reached out his hand. The size difference was large. All for One didn't mind. The boy was his now.
Chapter end.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. But more importantly, please subscribe and support the original author, Jade Tatsu. You can follow Jade Tatsu on FanfictionNet or Archive of Our Own, AO3. You can also follow them on Discord and YouTube. And finally, there's a TV Tropes page dedicated to another form of power. Please be aware there'll be spoilers. Links will be in the description. You can follow me on X and YouTube for progress and updates on the next audiobook chapters. More coming soon.